Good morning everyone, my name's Gerard Roney from Advantage Feeders. Today we're going to be talking about creep feeding, but just a little bit of a background. We're fortunate enough to have these twin bearing ewes grazing on some canola, and we're dealing with the excess protein because it's tested at about 30% protein by supplementing them with a little bit of wheat through the feeders just to balance that up. But today's really about talking about how we adjust the feeders to transition into creep feeding. There's a number of different ways of training lambs to creep feed from feeders, but in our situation we're still supplementing the ewes, so they're a great tool to train the lambs onto the feeder. So we're first going to look at the feeder for the ewes and how that's set up. So on the creep panel that's already on the feeder has got the standard operating procedure. If you, for some reason, that sticker's no longer there, it is just in our user guide, so really able to refer to it, and you can access this through our website. However, step one of the procedure is moving the creep panel on the ewe feeder down to position 6. So what that involves is moving the panel, pivoted down. And if we have a look on the other end here, we'll see what hole position number 6 looks like. So if we start from the bottom, which is hole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we've got the pin in hole position 6. So you can see here the gap is wide enough for the ewes to easily get their head in, and what happens when they're bringing their young lambs into the feeder, they're training the lamb to be familiar with this panel, so when it is pivoted down on the creep feeder, it's not a big obstruction that they haven't seen before. The next step is setting up the additional feeder for the lambs. Importantly, to transition that rumen, they need to have access to ad lib amount of feed. So if we look down on the adjustment system, we need to take out our adjuster guard and put that in its housing. We've set up this feeder earlier. However, the upper adjuster with the handle is on notch 6, and then when we look at the lower adjuster, we've also, with our lower adjuster notch system, positioned this one at position 6, which pretty much gives free choice feeding to those lambs. The next step is to drop the creep panel down to position 3 that locks out the ewes completely and allows the lambs to get in. So how we do that is with our button system on the outside again. Lock that button into position. Come to the other end. Lock that button into position. The last step in preparation is organising the feed that you need for the feeder. So what we use on the farm at the moment is a 50% mix of wheat with 50% lamb finishing pellet. So you can call us about why we actually use this ration, but we're finding at this stage this is the best for flowing through the feeders and getting those rumens to transition to developed as fast as possible. The other thing that you're going to need to get started is milk powder. So what this is very attractive to young stock. So we get a teaspoon of this and sprinkle it around the troughs for the first few weeks of getting the lambs to access the feeder. Thanks very much for tuning in today. We'll be back in a few weeks' time to look at how the lambs are getting onto the feeder, but importantly, if you have any questions about your own situation and the setup of the creep feeders for yourselves, don't hesitate to give us a call on our 1300 number.